Good morning. We could have if we could distribute the papers, everyone could have. So let's start with the side that has the art that has the two tables. That will be a little introduction to the chapter. We're holding by chapter 4 of Tanya. So we learned up until now. We learned that maybe two ladies could. Where are you sitting? You want to sit? So if you could move a little closer, then thank you.
No, sorry. Sit. Move over. You move over. Thanks.
Thank you.
Is this your coffee? Oh, okay. It's okay. I'll get it. Thanks.
So we learned up until now that the soul, the nefesh ha'elokit, the divine soul, as well as the animal soul, is built, has in it the 10 manifestations, meaning that the 10 kochot nefesh, 10 powers of the soul with which the soul expresses itself. But while it's called, we call it that those are 10 ways with which the soul manifests itself. At the same time, in reality, it needs garments, so to speak, in order to express itself. Without these three garments, the soul cannot do anything, cannot express itself. Basically, it would be, the example given to it is the physical clothes, garments that we have, which without those garments that we have, clothing, we cannot go out. We cannot go outside. We cannot express ourselves. It is with clothing that we express ourselves. So is also the soul must have these three garments with which to be able to express and to reveal the essence of the soul. What are or you could sit here. Thank you. What are those three garments? And as we'll elaborate, we'll go on, it will get clearer what we're saying. Those are thought, speech, and action. In simple words, what that means is a human being cannot be alive, there cannot be a soul that is alive without being involved in either one of the three, either thought or speech or action. As long as the person is alive, one of the three must be active, which means that's the way the soul expresses itself. Those are the garments the soul puts on in order to live. The difference, and I'll jump on it, is the difference between the three is that there are two garments that one could put on and take off, and those are dibur and maaseh, speech and action. Soul doesn't have to speak all the time. The soul doesn't have to do something all the time. At times the soul is resting. But machshava meshotetet tamid. But the garment of thought is always there. It's impossible not to think. And you're disagreeing.
I'm just wondering,
You were wondering. Try to stop
If a person's in a coma, that's a thought.
It's not possible. A person is still thinking.
Think so?
If the person is alive, thought is active.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they don't express it, but it's
Okay.
Dreams. When a person is asleep,
Right.
person is dreaming. It's not possible not to dream. The question is, do we remember our dreams? The question is, could we control our dreams? The question is, are the dreams meaningful? But it's not possible not to dream. And dream means thought. Means thinking. Not only doing dreaming, but also when we dream while we're awake, also our thought is not always normal and not always controllable and not always are we thinking straight, but we're always thinking. When we try to stop our faculty of thought, we're thinking how to stop it, but we're still thinking. It's not possible not to think. It's not possible. Literally not possible. So those are but it's still called a garment. So what we're going to see here in those tables is defining the difference between the faculty of Chochma, Bina, Das, as an example, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, or feelings, and the faculty and the three garments. In other words, how do we really differentiate between the three between what is the essence of the soul and between what is a garment? So, if we take a look on the table structure of the soul, we will have a better understanding of it. The faculties are internal, while the garments are external. And we'll elaborate on it in a second. Faculties is a character, while the garments is a behavior. Faculties is self, while the garments is a self-expression. The faculties are inside, while the garments are outside. The faculties are what you want, and the garments is what you do.
What's faculties? What does that mean?
The powers of the soul.
In Lashon HaKodesh.
Esa kochot hanefesh. The powers of the soul. The way we learned in previous chapter that the three faculties of thought of our brain, chokhmah, bina, das, and the faculties of the emotion.
Right. So how does that break down into internal character? So character is the seven meanings.
So let's speak about chokhmah, bina, and das in general about our the faculty of the intellect. Okay. Let's not go now in the details of chokhmah, bina, das, and if we do want to go in the details, based on what we learned last few weeks, let's talk about bina, which is the faculty of understanding, building. So what is the difference between bina and machashava? Could there be bina, understanding, without machashava, without thought? Not possible. It's not possible to build on an idea without thinking about it. It's literally not possible. How do we build? How do we activate bina without machshava? It's not possible. So what is the difference between bina and machshava? Between understanding, the faculty of understanding, and the garment of thought. So let's look at these 5 things. So the understanding by itself, the ability to understand, the brain that is the tower of the chip that is in the computer, The actual computer, that's internal. That's Bina, that is internal, that is there. The minute we turn on the computer, the minute we turn on the faculty of understanding, and we start thinking, that's already external. That's already activating it. The same is with the following four. The character, one has more of a character of understanding, someone has less of a character of understanding. It's different levels, different kinds.
I thought character would be the 7 meters, no?
So argue with whoever put it together. It's playing with words. You're taking the word character as far in our emotions,
Yeah.
but you could use the same word as character as far as what kind of character. What is the character of the level of understanding of this person versus the character of understanding of another person? You could use the word character for many things. The character of the building, the character of the table, character of the book. There is a lot. If you don't, I'm not going to teach now English, and I'm not going to learn English. You don't want to use the word character, don't use the word character. Use something else. But basically, Bina, the understanding, is the essence. The behavior is thinking Bina, is activating the Bina. The same is the self versus the expression. The Bina itself is inside, thinking, actually turning on Bina, that's outside. Now again, what you want and what you do here in Bina, it wouldn't be what you want, but Bina would be what you have, what you own. This is what I have, and this is what I do. I could have Bina and not activate it.
I'm still confused. I'm very perplexed.
I see that.
The process of thought, the way I understand it, unless it is expressed outwardly through speech or through action, is truly internal. You cannot, like, whether a person is thinking or not thinking, unless there's an outward expression to the outside observer, it's indistinguishable. And yet you say that Bina is thought is a process derived from Bina. And I thought that Bina is a process derived from thought. Thought is the driver. Anything that we do, including Bina, is thought driven, but it's internal. Even Bina is internal. The only time Bina becomes externalized is when we open our mouth, when we open our eyes, when we shake our head. Then we express our Bina. Okay. So I'm seeing this somehow. I cannot see on the left-hand side here. Maybe it's just a slide.
So I hear you, and let me explain what Alter Rebbe is saying here, and why the way you're describing it is wrong. And I ask for forgiveness. Could you remove yourself or the Bina from yourself?
Once it's there, it's there.
Could you remove it?
You can change your thoughts, yeah.
That wasn't my question.
Well,
My question was, could you remove the faculty of understanding, the capacity of understanding, the Bina? There is three levels to the brain: Chokhmah, Bina, Dat. So there is Bina in our brain, right? There is actually three physical.
Yeah, but Bina is connected. Well, maybe I'm saying it differently.
Hold on. Work with me. Could you remove Bina from your brain?
I believe so, yes.
Yes. If
You
have
believe
like
that
a
you can?
stroke.
Impossible.
What about if you have a stroke or something?
No, not from the health point of view. I'll give you an example.
Oh.
I wrote my own PhD thesis, and I read it. It was quite a few years after, and I said, "Who wrote this? Because I don't understand a word in there."
Right.
Okay. So I had to go and reacquire reacquire my bina of the stuff that I personally put together.
Let me ask you a question. Let's forget the word bina. Could you remove your brain from your essence?
That part, no.
No. Could you remove your thought from?
No.
Yes, you can.
Thought?
Thought
Yes.
what?
Yeah, you could redirect yourself.
You could redirect your thought.
Remove my thought.
That means removing your thinking.
Or stop a negative
From
thought.
what?
turn
You
it
could
into a
change.
Okay, I thought,
Hold on.
I thought you understood.
I know. So work with me. I know.
I
Patience.
can redirect
Patience.
my thinking, yes.
Could you redirect your brain?
Yes.
Yes.
You could redirect your brain?
My thinking, I can
Could you redirect your brain?
What do you mean
I
by
do not
that?
understand the
I don't know
I
exactly,
don't
because it's not
understand the
possible. Neither do I. Because it's not possible.
Oh, I see.
It's not possible. That's why you don't understand it. It's not possible to redirect the brain. It's not possible. It's there. It's an essence that is there as long as you are a human being. The way Hashem has created you, it's not possible to do anything with it. It's there. You could activate it or not activate it. You could activate it in a certain way. You could activate it in a different way. That's thought. That's machshava. That's the garment.
Okay. But it's still internal.
Sure, it's internal. Of course, it's internal.
But in here it's
In comparison to the brain, it's external. It's internal in comparison to speech and action. Machashava is levush. That's what it's called in Kabbalah, in Chassidut. Levush hapnimi, an internal garment, and as I said earlier, meshotetet tamid, that it's constantly there, and one cannot stop it. But you could change your thought. You cannot change your brain. It's not possible. It's not possible to change the brain.
well, if I change my thought, I change my
No, you're not. Let me ask you a question. Could you think now the way I'm thinking? Could
Absolutely
you?
not.
Absolutely yes.
Absolutely not. No, because you're not going to think.
Obviously, I can get you to think my way. Could you direct your thought to what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yes. So you are thinking now exactly what I'm saying. That you agree or disagree, you understand or don't, that's separate.
attention to what
Basically, your faculty of thought now is thoroughly on the words that I'm saying, because I'm occupying your faculty of thought, your garment of thought. Unless you walk out of the room and you won't listen to me, there is nothing you can do. I took over your machashava. That's reality. Can I take over your bina? Impossible.
So, you must be in control of your being a person.
Can I take over your bina? Don't confuse me.
I would say
No.
I would say yes. I explain why yes. Because Bina is our ability to collect our thoughts, if you will, and draw meaning out of our thoughts.
Okay, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have asked about bina. Could you give me your brain and I'll give you mine?
Not all of it.
What?
Not all of it. But yeah. No, I can't.
No, you can't. because
You can't.
it's
But
physical.
you just gave me your thought because I took it over. The minute I said something, the minute you said something, when you said something and I listened, I was thinking about what you're saying.
I see what-
So basically, the thought is it's internal, but it changes. Someone else will open up their mouth in a second, they will take over our thought, yours and mine together. But my brain, impossible. I'll never give it to you, you'll never give me yours.
But the thought changes my brain. The fact that what if right
It
now
doesn't
my brain
change.
changed?
It doesn't change. It encompasses. It activates it in a certain way.
Well, you could say
It's starting to think, it's making your brain think in a certain way. So when Alisa will say something, she will make your brain think in a different way. When you'll say something, it'll make it think in a different way. When I'll say something, I'll make it think in a different way. But it's not changing the brain. There is a brain that is there. You cannot change it.
That's the point I'm saying. The brain-
Imagine, hold on one second. Imagine that this is the brain. Okay? Tanya is the brain. The book of Tanya is the brain. Can I change it? No way. I could either think, I could either agree, I could either disagree, I could close it, put it away, choose, and I could do with it whatever I want, but the brain is there. The brain is Ani Hashem lo shaniti, and the brain cannot change.
That's what we're different. Let me put that with I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I'm not arguing with what you're saying.
You are.
I'm saying
That's
that we're coming from a different point of view.
Good.
The good example of the Tanya or material that you are drawing content out of it and value does not change the object with which you actually interact with, in this case the book. The book does not change whether you're smart, stupid, you read it for 10 hours or 2 hours, unless you abuse it. But otherwise, it doesn't change. The brain, the minute you said hello to me, that act changed my brain already. My brain a minute ago was different than it is a minute from now, just because you spoke to me. So the brain changes. Now, maybe we do not, if you consider the materialistic even part, at the physical level, it also changes. So that's the part that I disagree with you respectfully.
So,
the brain does change.
no. So, we'll get to everyone in a second. But let's do one at a time because it's too much for my brain. Because it changes very much. So here is the difference. I agree with you, but I disagree with you about not changing the Tanya. Because our sages say that whenever we say something b'shem omro, siftotav medovevot bakever. The Alter Rebbe's brain is now being affected by us learning. I don't want to use the word disturbing because we're not disturbing him because he has nachas and he is happy with what we're doing. This book is affected by the way we're doing it. It's more obvious in our brain than it is in the book. But let me now give you the other side of the coin. What we're affecting the brain is the exact same way, not exact same way, but in comparison that our clothing affect who we are. Because if you are dressed nicely, I'll talk to you like a mensch. If you are dressed like a schlepper, I'll consider you a schlepper and I'll know your real being, your true essence. So, I will not care about you because you're a schlepper. Clothing, now, and not only that, not only does it affect the other person, but the way we dress affects ourselves. The way the shirt, the kind of shirt we put on, the kind of pants we put on, the kind of dresses we put on, has an impact on how we actually deliver in our learning, at our jobs, and so on and so forth. It's not possible that it shouldn't. It does. It has a major effect. And as I mentioned last week in the class, when children come in pajamas to school, then what do we expect? Obviously there is chutzpah, and obviously there is no attention because we come like shleppers and we torn pants and we torn and so on and so forth. If we come dressed accordingly, it has an impact on the way we are. So let me ask you a question. Does this shirt and the glasses I'm wearing and the perfume I've put on, does that have a real impact and change on my true being? Of course. At the same time, it's only external. It impacts the way we act. But the essence is the essence. The brain that we have, that God gave us at birth, is there. and your brain is different than mine, and we will never be able to exchange them. That's how they are. So yes, it changes, but it changes through a garment, through how we put on. And of course, my speaking, that's the thought of the garment of thought. How about the garment of speech and action? Speech has a major influence on the essence of our being, on the essence of our soul. If I speak and when I'm angry, when I'm upset, and I get all excited, it has an impact on my heart. That's why it says "Gula lemidat hakaas sheishtok ba'et." That in our sages tell us the way to control anger is be quiet. Don't keep on elaborating on it. At the same time, prayers and speaking out the words with ahava, with dvarim hameviim lidei ahava, psukei de zimra, prayers that are elaborating on our relationship with Hashem, Hashem's relationship with us, and we talk about the love and we elaborate on it, brings out more love. That's why women love more their husband than husbands love their wives, because women speak and men don't. Women express themselves, and that has an impact. It's reality. The men are quiet. When you're quiet, yeah, I love. Say something about it. Do something about it. Yes. So the words. Everything affects our emotions and our brain. The kol me'orer hakavana. The sound awakens intention. So of course everything has an impact. Machashava, thought, has a deep impact on our brain. No question, but it's a garment. The brain is the brain. Now, let's give some attention to others as well. One by one, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
I totally get this, what's on the chart. If you don't, and I think sometimes we have a tendency to overthink it. And when you were saying what you were saying, I was thinking that yes, if we have a normal brain, but that's assuming a brain doesn't change. What if we get encephalitis, for instance? It could shock out our neurotransmitters, and our brain is a mere shadow of its former self. Or we get older and we get Alzheimer's, and we lose our brain. So we're talking about, I like to look at it, how is our brain right now, right here? Because it could, God forbid, change.
Yes,
and
of
I
course.
don't know how,
So what you described, and I'm not a scientist, but what in my little understanding, what the situations that you have described, or what was brought earlier about the stroke, God forbid, and so on, what is affected then is the physical brain is affected, meaning the physical, it's not the garments of the brain, it's the physical brain, the physical life of the brain. So of course, the brain could get damaged, God forbid.
Right.
But that's the physical brain that is being damaged, then it has an impact on the amount of the life of the soul that is part of it. As we said, that the brain is part, is there a leg that could get paralyzed, God forbid? Of course it could get paralyzed. But the leg is a expression of the soul. It's and so no question that those could be affected and could be changed. But it's not a garment that we put on and take off. It's physical damage that changed the makeup of the brain. A brain dies,
Right.
God forbid, of course, and there is levels in that.
And if your brain, God forbid, gets damaged, then it can change your thought, your speech, and your action.
Not only it can, it will
likely,
change.
yeah.
Of course, it will change,
Right.
because then you need a different. When a little child needs a size needs a certain size of clothing. A big child needs bigger size of clothing. A small brain needs a small size of garments of thought, speech, and action. A big brain needs a different size. If the brain shrinks, God forbid, then it needs a different size. Of course, I mean, all these are affected. But again, thought serves the brain, which means thought is a garment to the brain. Anything that serves something else is a garment. The skin is a garment to the flesh. The skin and flesh together is a garment to the bones, to the nerve, to the veins, and so on and so forth. Everything is a garment to something inside, and so on. Certainly. Yes.
Okay, so Alyssa's on a higher level than me. I don't understand this. I'm confused by this. My understanding is that external things are speech and action. Internal is thought. Now, I understand what you're saying in terms of, Bina. So, for example, since I drink coffee, I get the smell of coffee. I wasn't thinking about coffee. I get the smell of coffee. I start thinking about how good a cup of coffee could taste.
Thank you for reminding us.
I didn't mean to do that. But anyway, I had mine very early before you. But anyway.
Yeah.
But the point is that I can hear activating the Bina by your thought because you weren't thinking about something, but you had the capacity to understand it beforehand, right? So that I understand, but I always thought that was internal. According to this classification on this chart, it says it's external, which I've never really thought of it that way. External to me, and according to what I understood of the Alter Rebbe, and again, I could be wrong, but external to me was always something external to yourself. Speech is external to yourself. Action is external to yourself. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts are internal to yourself, right? Now, it's true that Chacham Bina Das are only activated with thoughts, okay? But I didn't see them classified as external. It's a classification system, and probably had I seen the rest of this JLI course, maybe I'd understand the classification system. I don't know, but that's what this chart is confusing me.
So I hear you, and we learned Tanya a few times together, and this chart by JLI is new to me, and it's the first time I see it. I see this chart. At the same time, the fact that machshava, that thought, is external is not new to me at all. So here is the thing. I touched upon it earlier, and I'll elaborate on it now. When you are saying that thought is internal, that's in comparison to the other two garments, speech and action. Yes, machashava is levusha plimi. Thought is an internal garment that is inseparable, cannot separate from the soul. You could change and redirect the thought. You could think this, and now I'm thinking this. So you could change, but impossible to remove it. But possible to remove speech and action. Yeah. Speech and action, I could be quiet, maybe, but that's possible. And maaseh, action, is possible to stop. Machashava is impossible to stop. It's inseparable from the neshama, which from the brain, and so on. Now, that's in comparison to dibur and maaseh, to speech and action. But when not only in comparison, but because you could switch what you're thinking, that's external.
So
It's a garment.
Yeah, where's the Alter Rebbe say that?
That what?
That the machshava is external.
By definition, it's external. If you could,
switch it.
because you could, probably it says somewhere in many
Because-
places. I don't know.
because it's,
You want me to
because-
find a source? I'll look for a
No,
source.
I see what you're saying, because it's a lavush, by definition.
But
like-
levush means external.
Yeah, okay, no, I hear.
Levush, a garment, means external.
Okay,
Yes.
Bin chokhma bina das chesed gvura tiferet. Any faculty of the soul, I cannot change my heart.
okay, I get it now, thank you.
Yes.
What about answering the question?
Hold on one second.
Right
So,
here.
no, hold on. So based on that, is that concept new to you? Not at all. That's exactly what you always understood.
Yeah.
It's a garment, so it's external.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I guess
Sorry.
I was thinking compared to the other two, okay, thank
What
you.
about the question, where do we find the kind of thoughts, words, and actions that allow the godly soul to express itself? For instance, let's say someone does something terrible to you. I don't know, a drunken driver kills your neighborhood child or something. Or your child, God forbid, or something terrible. You could have very angry thoughts. And then you could say angry things, and you could have angry actions. But we can't go out and kill someone because that's bad and it's against the law. So like it says, where do we find the kind of thoughts, words, and actions that allow the godly soul to express itself?
Give me the answer.
No,
it's a question to you.
Put it out.
It's a question to you. You give the answer.
Listening to lots of Tanya and trying to
Very good. Good start.
replacing negative thoughts with more positive
Very
thoughts.
good. Now you're getting there. Good. Very good.
Maybe doing good deeds.
Very good. That's it. Where could we find them in ourselves? Yes and yes. And then yes.
Eugenie was next.
Oh, so I don't know. I don't keep track.
I'll wait until.
Okay.
Yeah, my question was about the brain neuroplasticity, because
About the brain?
neuroplasticity, the
Yeah.
experiences.
What word did you just use?
Neuroplasticity.
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 Yeah, the therapy, the experiences that physically change the synapses, physically rewire the brain.
Okay. So again, we spoke about damage to the brain. We speak about repair to the brain. Fine.
Or
Gesundheit.
learning is not, it's going beyond repair. So when we think negative about the brain, we should also think about the positive part. That our brain, through everyday activity, some are more positive, some less
100%.
positive, richer or poorer. Everything we do actually not only repairs the brain, but builds a new brain.
Yeah.
So the minute I open my eyes, my brain is no longer the same it was a microsecond.
המחדש בטובו בכל יום ובכל תמיד מעשה בראשית. Very good.
So the brain is changing. I think I get the impression that maybe I started on the wrong foot. So let me try to get the right foot. Many times when I went to school, they told me when you do not understand something, it must be politics. But no, so in this case, when I do not understand something, read the text. I think that's what it really tells us. So I'm going back to the text. I did not read the whole text, but I'm just touching on the first few words. And it says here, in the Hebrew part, it says, יש לכל נפש אלוהית שלושה לבושים, שהם מחשבה, דיבור ומעשה. Which means that every soul, every neshama, has three attributes that are the garments I'm talking about. What it does not say, and I'm sure later on, but it goes and expands on it. So I think maybe part of the answer to our question is read Tanya.
That was introduction.
Right. That's right. Which is not fair to both to Tanya, to Rebbe, and to you. It's not fair to ask preemptive questions which are not.
No, it's very good that we've done it before we started because we would stop after the first line.
But then the question is, does it really dwell on the notion of the hierarchy or the level of these garments? We have overgarments, we have undergarments.
Yes.
So if I were to rephrase my question from earlier and say, I can understand, for example, the dibur, speech, and maaseh, action, is an outer garment.
Yes.
Anybody can see it.
Yes.
No question about it. My thought, nobody can see it.
Yes.
But I can.
Yeah.
Hashem can.
Yeah.
So maybe it's invisible.
Your wife
to
can
you,
sometimes.
but God can even predict my thoughts. So the thing is that this is a different kind of garment. Like it's an undergarment, nonetheless it is there, of the soul, not of the brain. I don't equate the brain with the soul.
Right.
Brain is a vehicle, it's a tool, it is a physical manifestation of something that is a helper. It's like a thumb. It's a helper.
Yeah.
Okay, without the thumb you cannot grab the
Yeah.
thing, not with that hand, but with this hand. So you can reach on your stuff. So I think I'll take my question back. Says, if you talk about the concept of God being external to the neshama, if you will, not. So I was fixating on the brain itself.
External to the brain. Sorry. Yes. Sorry. Yes, and then yes.
I was wondering if it's a matter of potential. When a child is born, you can potentially bring him up in a certain way. That would maybe it also has to do with this plasticity that you were speaking of. But if he's brought up in a family that doesn't know how to develop him accordingly, then his brain will not develop like it should, like it could. But if it were, then it could become much, much, much more. But the ability could also end at a certain point, which means you could take two people in the same family or from two different parts of the world and bring them up poorly or bring them up very, very richly. You'll reach different results because that one is X, has this X potential, and that one has Y potential. Is this the beginning potential that you were speaking about, what Hashem gives us as part of our hard disk, or so to call it, the potential that each one has to be X and Y? And it, because we say, which means that we can change in a way, the way we feel, and we can learn Hilchot Lashon Hara in a certain way to a certain extent that we even don't think that way anymore. Or our brain doesn't even attract to thinking bad. So there's something to the potential of a beginner, what Hashem gives in us, and then there's what we do with it. But the question is there any chance for a person to be able to have a touch to what he was given to and change that as well with our garments?
So if I understand correctly, what you're saying is that the potential is the Chokhmah Binah Da'at, is the brain. And what we do with education of our children and the surrounding we give them and the everything that is that's helping the thought, developing the brain and so on. Is that what you're saying?
I'm asking actually if we can touch the potential that we were given and change it basically, because I'm saying I realize that giving better education will make the brain expand, but again only until the point that Hashem enabled it to happen.
Exactly.
So I'm asking, can we touch beyond that point, beyond the potential? Could we change the potential with our actions?
So it's almost like you said there is a ceiling, and can we push the ceiling?
Can we actually change what God gave us in a way by our action, by our garments?
You want
I
to give
don't
a
know.
concrete example?
No.
I
I
did
think
by
I
the
think I think what Leah,
So,
Sarah, I think what Sarah is asking is if we could change the actual brain from what Hashem has given us through our actions, if we exercise our thought beyond, I think that there is a saying that an ordinary human being uses approximately 2% of the capacity of the brain. I think that's what it says. There is something between 2 and 8. So you're asking is if we use it 100%, 101%, could we then change the capacity and the actual brain?
I understand that the Tanya cannot turn into a mechanic book to teach us how to build a car, or it can't turn into a rafting boat.
Maybe it can, yes.
I think that would be changing the intention that God gave that. But I'm asking, yes, in a certain way.
If it's possible. So I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I'm not sure that I know the answer to it. What I do know is two things that come to mind. One is there is a story about a Chassid, either of the Alter Rebbe or later generations, who was not who didn't have big brains. He was a simple person, and through his working hard, he managed to understand very deep concepts. So I'm not sure that he changed the brain or he brought up the inner potential that is there. I'm not certain. The other thing that comes to mind is the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, it's a total different level, the total different thing about the level of tzaddik v'tov lo. The highest level of a tzaddik that one could reach in being a tzaddik, the Alter Rebbe says, is not within the reach of a human being. But what happens is a human being could work to reach the max, and then he merits that Hashem should give as a present, as a gift, the level of that tzaddik. But so basically we could work in order to deserve a medal, to deserve a change of neshama that Hashem has given us. He has given us the level of the potential of a small tzaddik, and now Hashem has given us a gift of a higher tzaddik. So I tend to believe that it would be the same thing here, that we cannot change the kind of brain that Hashem has given us. Could we merit that Hashem should implant in us a neshama yetera, a higher level of a soul, of a brain? Yes, I'm sure that yes. I'm sure that yes. But it takes a lot of work.
I'm having a hard time. And this whole, conversations are very confusing for me because I'm not able to internalize anything. It's like I hear everybody and the thought comes and it's not going
We
to
took over your brain.
Sorry?
We took over your brain.
It's not going to my heart. Usually when I hear something that I internalize, it's coming from the heart, it goes to the heart. Here it's in my head. It's spinning in my head, and I'm going to go home and have no idea. I basically understand intellectually what those three garments mean, but it's not going in my heart. And the only way that I remember from the past coming to Tanya, and that's been over 20 years now, is when you read the text and you explain the text, and I go, oh, true, goes. Right now, it's like a big salad in there, and I have no idea how to internalize it.
Okay, good.
So what?
Finally, after 20 years, you got confused. It's a good thing.
Well, I
Took 20 years. Wow.
What my request is, if you can put it together in a way that it's coming from Tanya, and that it can go to my heart, if you can do it, because I don't want to go home and.
So you're finding it difficult when we go on tangents?
I find it difficult to
because it's
try
hard
and
to-
get to everybody's head and way of thinking, because then my thinking goes and nothing happens in my heart.
Okay,
So-
can we do it inside? Would that help?
So here is the. I have two ways to react. One is to tell you, okay, it's good. Have patience. It's good. It's good to struggle with it. And the way I commented earlier, good. Bring it to your heart. Work on it.
But I want to learn it. I want to internalize it.
So I could throw it at you and tell you, you do the homework, go home with all this confusion and think about it. How does that affect me? How do I bring it to my heart? that would probably be the best way of doing it in the long run, because then you would internalize it much better. But since you touched the nerve of Rahmanut by me, of mercy, and so I'll try to give you a pill that will work quickly.
Yeah.
But I warn you, it will disappear. It's not as good as if we leave it as is and we continue next week.
No, but if you
But if
give
you want
me,
a quick
if you
one-
give me don't give me the pill, but tell me, okay, don't take the pill, but here is a direction
Okay.
of how you can
Okay,
get there.
so, okay.
Is it
Okay.
make sense?
Yes, but it's still the same way, same thing. So here is the thing. Your question is, what do we care about all this?
Yeah,
Okay,
basically.
where is this leading?
If I don't understand anything,
Where-
what do I care about? it?
Yeah, and what do we care if about is it a garment? Is it not a garment? Is it the essence? Is it not essence? The difference between the garment of thought and the garment of speech. What difference does it make? That's basically where you're asking, what is the bechen? What is the outcome? Where is this leading? Right. So where this is leading is to the core of Tanya in how we could control our lives. This is leading how you should control your emotions, your feelings, and how you should control your dreams. That's where this is leading. This is leading to us coming to the understanding that while we cannot change our brain, we cannot change our attractions, we cannot change what comes our way and with what kind of feelings we were born and what are natural feelings that we have of hatred, fear, and love and giving versus holding back, anger. At the same time, we can't control.
Yeah.
If a person is born, there are people who are born more angry people, more serious. Some people are born more smiley and more, everything goes, everything is good. We can't control that. But what we could control is, not only could we control our thought, but we could also control our speech, what we say and what we don't say, how we react to our loved ones and to things that come our way, expected or not expected, and how we control our actions. Not only could we control our speech and action, but we could also control how we think and what we think of what comes our way. So what came your way in the last hour, you can't take back. This is what happened here in the last hour of the class. Things were coming. Things came from all over. I didn't expect. You didn't expect. No one expected. That's how no one knows how the class is going to go. That's how the class went. What you could do now is, what am I doing with this class? I could walk away from this class thinking this was a waste of my time, and I didn't get anything from it. Or I could walk away from this class and knowing, okay, how is this hour going to affect my week? There has to be something positive that I took out from this class, and I'm going to work with it.
In fact, that's what the Rabbi said.
Did the pill work? Oh wow, magic!
Yeah,
That's what Tanya says. It says
yeah.
basically,
You summed it
we are
up in a
walking-
way.
We're walking in this orchard, like a vineyard or an orchard of trees full of oranges, and there's quite a few of them, and we're overwhelmed by that because everything is hitting us from all directions, and how do we respond to that? The way to respond it is, forgive the pun, is to divide and conquer. You separate yourself into many, many pieces to understand each element of ourselves, how it functions, and what it contributes to our clarity or to our confusion. And by understanding those faculties, using the way mentioned here, then we say, aha, this part I can control, this part I can educate, this part I have no control over. And in doing so, the first thing that goes away is frustration. Now that you're not frustrated, then you get clarity and peace of mind that enables you to do the right thing. And then you move forward. And in here it says basically that our objective ultimately is to fulfill the mitzvot. Because if you have complete randomness of thought, uncontrollable thought, frustration, confusion, keeping mitzvot is completely absurd. Because it doesn't rise to the level of reason. I think that was right.
Okay, thank you. And another summary and a conclusion of this is the following. The Talmud says, the following, what I'm going to say is a little lesson we could learn about the issue of thought versus brain. And bina and understanding, the faculty of understanding. Not activating understanding, not activating and building, but the faculty of bina. The Talmud makes a statement that en deotehem shavot, a fact that God has created in the world with the millions and billions of people since first day of creation till now, that not one mind is alike, doesn't exist. You spoke about family, children in the same family and so on, twins. No two minds are alike, never happened, will never happen. There isn't two minds that are the same. Impossible to have minds that are the same. At the same time, we need to learn to think alike. How is it possible? Thought. Controlling our thought. Our mind is not the same, and we're all asked to learn the same Torah. There isn't a separate Torah that is given to every person. There isn't different laws and different books for every. It's the same Torah, the same Tanya for everyone. We need to learn to appreciate our differences, and that you will never understand me and I will never understand you. At the same time, let's think the same thing. In other words, let's think that we are, let's guide our brain to educate our children in the same way, while the father and the mother have different faculties. You can't change them. The father is a father, the mother is a mother. You can't change that fact. At the same time, to come with one voice to the children, that's control of the thought, thinking, and guiding the brain, which is a garment. On and on and on. And this is a lifetime, and especially over the next few weeks, as we're going to learn inside the text, and you asked if we could learn inside the text. Of course, that's an introduction to inside the text. But it's going to happen over the next few weeks. I think the next page will take us a good 2-3 weeks, because it's confusing the way the Alter Rebbe is getting there. And what we did today is lay the foundation, so we should be able to go into more details and of it. So you're not disappointed after 20 years?
No, I was more confused.
Good. It's good. Confusion is a good thing. Thank you very much. And again, all classes towards the end of the week are being are online. Oh, wow, an hour.